Hey, so I know I promised I'd cut out the refights from the future videos, but since we have the Death Ray, they really don't take that much time at all in this one, so... Oh, gee!
I mean, they're not even trying to hide it right now, it's just Sigma. While he's monologuing, and I'll actually... Well, no, because this is kind of pertinent right now. Normally Sigma isn't involved in the story at all. Like, in Extreme 1, he shows up in both, or like all of the refight, or stage... He shows up in all the story modes. And it's just always like, oh, he's good at toying and playing with people's hearts and emotions. In this one, he's the, like, link-up boss. He's not actually plot significant at all. Like, you can remove him from this, and it's just like, Gareth and Berkana are interesting protagonists. Don't fucking include Sigma in it! You don't have to! So...
Antagonists, but...
Either way, actually, I would like to play a game with him as a protagonist, but thank you for correcting me. I didn't even notice that I did that. But anyway, while he's still monologuing, and that's done, I was going to mention a couple other things about Berkana, since she's the real final boss, because fuck this fucking guy. She's super weak to Rayclaw, but it's interesting, because you have to hit her with it twice. The first shot will only paralyze her, so you remember how it'll like go away once it makes contact? Yeah. So you basically effectively need to hit her twice. If you have Sonic Slicer, which is a zero weapon, so it doesn't normally apply in X's solo storyline, that does the same thing except it doesn't paralyze her, so you can just like wreck her with it. Or you can use Death Ray and nothing matters at all, ever. There was also... Oh, apparently she made Gareth. I guess she was like a really higher up Reploid scientist sort of thing with like no known manufacturer or anything like that. And Gareth is like one of her main creations and like her second in command. So Berkana's like the mastermind. Yeah. That's from like Compendium of Rockman X, which I don't have a copy of. I don't know if that's ever been translated or not. What else? God, refights and shit.
So, seriously, what is Sigma doing here? Is it just like, well, fuck it. I mean, it's in my contract.
It might have been in that monologue that I wasn't paying any attention to, but honestly, I think really it's just like, oh, we want like a true final boss. And I feel like they could have done something more interesting with it, but at the very least, it's a different Sigma than we fought before. Like, it's not the Extreme 1 where it's like, oh, it's just X1 Sigma and like all of his forms. This one's actually unique. Or at the very least, the final form is. And it's actually a really interesting boss fight. It does some stuff that I actually really, really like. I will ignore most of those things in this playthrough because of reasons that I'll explain when it comes up, because I don't want to spoil the mechanics or anything, but suffice to say, it's actually one of the more interesting Sigma fights in the series, which, when you think about it, is kind of a shame that it's like been A, mitigated to this, and B, it's one of the games, or one of the only games where he's not actually supposed to be around at all. So it's just like, well, fuck. There was another thing. Actually, I guess those are the only two things for her anyway.
I got anything on Gareth?
Actually, yeah, and it's a little bit more pertinent-esque to the Sigma fight, but really doesn't matter, and we're going like full-blown filler right now. So, aside from being a really shitty boss fight in general, he spends a lot of his time off-screen and is almost 90% contact damage, which is great for a melee fighter like Zero in a game with not the best hit detection or anything. He was supposed to have a lion companion, seen here, and it's actually a really cool design, in my opinion, but it never actually showed up in the game anywhere, and there's actually... First of all, it bears resemblance to Sigma's final body, so I guess some spoilers if you're looking at that artwork, but it'll come up later this video. So we've got... Oh, right, there's a Berkana in here. So, Berkana the Witch and Gareth the Knight are the two original villains. They share the medieval theme with Zane and Kimo, so never mind. The order details for Gareth were to make a knight and his lion. Unfortunately, Gareth's lion does not make an appearance in the game itself. If the player could just assume that the lion loyally follows Gareth everywhere, but not in any way that is visually confirmable within the game, that would be great. That's from one of the main artists.
Fantastic.
Yep, and that concludes the 2 pages of information on this in the official art book that I own. That was like all 4 paragraphs of it.
So, I'm noticing that the boss fights aren't in like a Sigma Fortress version of the arenas. It's literally just, we're teleporting you back to the original stage. Have fun.
Basically. It's probably just to save on assets somehow.
Probably.
Which is weird, because you could just use a common one. Also, look at how fucking fast this strategy is killing these assholes. Like, I don't think I do anything similar to this in any of them. With maybe the exception of 8? I don't remember. Either way. There was... Okay, so one of the other things... Oh yeah, this is a thing that's gonna happen. So one of the other things about Berkana's boss fight, I'm sorry I'm going all over the place because of my, like, supplementary notes here, is one of her other attacks is she'll spawn a spike ball instead of one of the A or B projectiles, and that'll bounce around and do bad things. If you use Ray Claw on that spike ball, it'll launch back up at her and stun her the same way as the first hit of Ray Claw would, which is just kind of interesting because it is effectively the same amount of uses of Ray Claw, but it's like, that's kind of neat. It's like X is just like backhanding it back up at her. And if X hits Berkana with the second shot from a level 4 X-Buster shot, that will only stun her. So, you know, remember it's like the overlapping charge shot in this one, which never appears. That, I guess, the second one. Which, you'd think it'd be the first, so you'd have to hit with both, but...
Oh, the refights are done.
Yeah, refights are done. And then, yeah, there was the Isaz and Sowi. Jesus, I don't know how to pronounce that, like I said.
What's the spelling of it?
Sowilo. Soilo.
Sowilo?
It's from some runic alphabet, apparently. Both heads share the same damage values. Attacks that are capable of striking multiple enemies in one hit, such as X's Giga Crush, will be listed in the chart. So basically that'll hit twice. Anyway, I like that portrait for Sigma. Genuinely, like, not even in a goofy way, I just think it's a cool art style, and I like how they did the mug shots in this one. But yeah, so the first phase is similar. It's the Xt2 first form. And Marine Tornado just does awful things to him. Like, almost as much as, like, you actually wailing on him with the Death Ray, so...
Can we go back to I'm pleased to see you, now I'll delete your soul forever? That's a magical line.
It is. So, now we got this. It's vaguely... Yeah, his top lip.
Oh my god!
I like it. I would like to see it in a less limited art form. And just compare it to, like, the dumpster thing from fucking X3's final form. It's actually pretty nice and clean. But okay, so this boss fight does some cool stuff. And I should pull up something so that I know what I'm fucking talking about right now. But basically, when he changes color, and I missed the first chunk of that. Right now he's orange, and is just outright stunnable in general. You saw how he flashed back to his normal form, just like he's doing right now. So he flashes back to that form. That's the only time you can damage him. When he's orange, you just have to hit him a whole bunch, and then he'll go. When he's red, only 0 can hit him. And when he's blue, only X can hit him. So what you're supposed to do, outside of... Like, what I'm doing right now is I'm just dodging, because it's just the full X playthrough. So technically this would be going faster. But the whole idea is that it's supposed to use the scramble change system, where you're using both characters in the one boss fight at phases that are more beneficial for that character, which I think is really, really cool.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
It's not super convenient, because you have to do it through the pause menu, like, unless there's some button hotkey control configuration that you can set up. There might be. I think maybe you can hit select to do it. But I really like the general idea of that, and it kind of comes back in 7 and 8, where you have, like, the team builds, and you can switch between them that way. But none of the fights are designed around that. They're just things that, like, you effectively have 2 health bars switch wisely to, like, maintain your health and standing in the fight and everything like that. And I really wish that this concept came back, where it was like, okay, here's the 0 form, like, go after him and, like, reflect shots back with the sword and that kind of thing, and then the X form is, like, stay the hell away from him, hit him with range attacks and stuff. And this one kind of does that kind of thing, but just the fact that it's in there in general is really cool to me. Like, I think in that phase you can knock him back with Zero's sword, and then there's another one where he'll be encroaching on X from the side, and you have to button mash to keep him away, so... I don't know, it's just really neat.
I'm glad that this game is keeping up the proud tradition that Xt2 started, with having the final boss being so big and overly designed that it can't actually animate at all.
There will be actually worse versions of that in the future. I don't know if I get into the push battles in this or if I waste them way too fast. He might do it at least once. He'll also do some sweeping lasers and stuff, too, which are pretty cool. But yeah, it's just... For a not animated sprite, it's a really dynamic Sigma battle, which I honestly like a lot. I wish more of them were like this. Honestly, this one's way more engaging than the final fight in Xt3 is, and it's a Game Boy Color version. Which, you know, take that how you will. And yeah, the face on that battle body looks a lot like Gareth's line. So, I don't know, maybe side-by-side compare them or something for the people. But anyway, that's that. That's Extreme 2.
It wasn't too bad.
Right? I like that one. Like, playing through it as a whole, it's kind of a glitchy mess. But it's more structured than Extreme 1 was. Mm-hmm. You can do some really fun things in it that kind of favor player style and, like, what kind of difficulty you want to set for yourself. It has a better blend of bosses, the stages are more unique, the final Sigma battle is way more interesting. It's just good. Honestly, I'd say that Gareth and Burkana are also more engaging. Well, Burkana is more of an engaging fight than the Shadow Hunters were, Zane and Gimel.
Yeah.
But Gareth really is like a boring fight. And that's not even my zero bias. It's literally just like, he'll appear, do a shield where he doesn't take damage, jump up off the top of the screen, and then just throw 4 spears down and then land and do it over and over again. And Zero takes a lot of damage from the whole fight. But yeah, so all of the Reploid souls are going back to their bodies, which... hokey, whatever.
Boy.
Imagine that however you want. Speaking of those souls, Gareth's dick? Gareth's just a dick bag. Because apparently, at one point in Zero's storyline, he's like, all the souls that were taken should be honored to be used for us. It's like, alright. Just kind of like a fucking asshole. Also, he mentions Colonel! Ah, that's so fun! This is the kind of thing that I want for the X series. Like, I want to do a whole video on this at some point, but just this little supplementary thing is like, this is an in-between. Like, a really clear in-between, not like Extreme 1 is like, oh, well, this could be at any point between 2 and 3. This one, though, is literally like, here are characters from a later game, we're giving them, like, quote-unquote extra development. There's not a lot of it, but they're involved. And I want that. Like, there's so many side characters that come in the later games from this point on that you're supposed to be interested in, but are given no reason to care about at all. And, like, Colonel and Iris are the best examples of it.
But Double, though, my favorite little butter duckling.
Gross! Oh my god, that's a horrible phrase.
Yes.
My favorite little butter dumpling. But yeah, so just that kind of thing. And so, again, there's a whole video that I want to do on it at some point. It'll be, well, after we're done with all of these, so there'll be plenty of material to base off of. But, it'd be just... Lost my train of thought. Iris confused me. Shit. I don't want X9. I don't want Mega Man 11. I don't want those. I want things that will bolster the existing storyline or transition between the X and Zero games. Because there's... all of those plots are present. They all exist in the fiction. And all you need to do is slap 8 bosses on it, and you're done. That's it. And there's, like, a lot of potential with it, which, again, I'll go into in that video. This is a really cool thing that she's describing right now. This one has a boss rush mode, so it's literally just the refights. But you go in, you can hold, like, select and up or something when you're spawning, and it'll give you all the armor. But you go in without the armor, and Giga Crush and all that. So that, on its own, is really cool, and it's just, like, beat them as fast as you can. You get 2 sets of it. All of the bosses from Extreme 1 are available, too.
That's really cool.
So there's 16 fucking bosses to fight in this one, and you can just, like, go for it. And you still use all of the current weakness weapons, which is really interesting, because that means you've got these 8 previous bosses, and all of them have corresponding weakness weapons, but you don't know what they are. So you have to kind of, like, go through and figure it out, and some of them are pretty obvious, like, I'm pretty sure naturally, Chill Penguin is still weak to the fire weapon and all that, but this is that. I do a little bit of it just to kind of show it off. I think maybe I go into the right one for previous bosses. Hope I do. I want to say, yeah, it's still Penguin, cool. But yeah, so just really cool feature. It's another thing. Like, Xt2 2, for a Game Boy platformer game, is a really full game. Like, there's a lot of stuff in it. Like, it's a good, complete experience. And, just like Extreme 1 is, it's on the 3DS eShop. So if you want, it's no longer hellaciously hard to find. I mean, I don't think it's that expensive, but, you know, go grab it. With save states, it's really not that bad, because it was tough for me to practice it. But I encourage it. It's fun. It's kind of an oddity. You can do some cool stuff.
Still don't know if I'd call it a good game, but it's a technically impressive one for the Game Boy.
Yeah. It does a lot of stuff wrong, but it does plenty of stuff right, and it does plenty of stuff well. So that's really, I think when you're talking about a Game Boy Color pseudo port, that's about all you can ask for.
Yeah, so, that's fair.
At that phase in game development. But anyway, so that's Xt2 2. And I'm happy we got through another one. Next up, we're shifting eras entirely.
PlayStation, here we come.
It's gonna be... I'll have a lot of words about it when the time comes. So, thank you for watching. We'll see you then.
Bye.